The Connection Show. Inspiring hope, health, healing. Connecting the dots of your story and transforming your life. Sponsored by Braveheart Workshops. Live with Jill Reynolds.
Connection Show, inspiring hope, health, healing. Inspired by the show, Connection Show with Jill Reynolds. And joining me today is Kevin Wilson. Welcome to the show, Kevin.
Thanks for having me, Jill. Appreciate it.
Well, I'm really grateful you could come on. I've known you now for about 2.5 years, and we've met at some conferences that we both spoke at. And I never had the opportunity to actually interview you. So I'd love for you to take the audience on a journey of your childhood and share a little bit about what Kevin's life was growing up and then how that has changed and evolved into the amazing man you are today.
Well, sure. It's funny that you say that because it is interesting, and I share this sometimes because as a child, I had no major complaints. I had food in my belly, roof over my head. Nothing majorly was a problem for me. However, growing up, my father, he worked for Frito-Lay. He was a packaging machine specialist for Frito-Lay, worked there for many, many years. He's retired now, but he worked a lot, and I mean a lot. He was always working. He's always gone. He was in high demand. He traveled all the time. It was almost a running thing that on my birthday, he was going to be out of town. And growing up as a kid, I didn't really understand that. I felt a level of resentment, thinking that maybe my father mattered, or my father's job, excuse me, mattered more to him than I did. And, it really wasn't until I was older and I was in my 30s and I attended his father's funeral that I learned that really came from a calculated plan on his part, because he did grow up with nights where he was hungry, where his dad moved from job to job and didn't secure anything, didn't have regular income. And he vowed as a young man, he said, my children, when I have children, he goes, my children will never know what that feels like. He will never. So I learned later to appreciate that as a sacrifice he made for me, as opposed to resenting him for it. And it's kind of funny how it's evolved into my life now, because ever since I sold my company in 2011, and even before then some, I've been able to be a stay-at-home father for my kids. So I overcompensated for that and was able to be a very, very present father for my kids. But the fortunate thing, my wife and I, we found out that balance, that they also don't know what it's like to go to bed without food in their stomach or know where that next meal is coming from. So we found that balance in creating, both for my wife's history and my own history, to try to create a better environment for ourselves and for our family. So
Thank you for sharing that. So during that period of time of dad being gone, how many children were in your family?
I had a younger brother, 4 years younger, and then I had a younger sister, 8 years younger, that was that my parents adopted from Korea, actually.
Okay, so growing up then during that era with two siblings younger than you and dad traveling a lot, what was life like for you as the oldest? Did mom rely on you to help with childcare with your siblings and caring for them? And was there incidences then that you acted out in school and with rebellion or anything with dad not being there to discipline?
Yeah, that's a good question. I will say that being 4 years younger and 4 years older and 8 years older, there were some responsibilities that fell on me, but none that I felt like that were unreasonable, or that I felt, cheated on or anything. It was very natural. I didn't mind taking care of my brother and my sister the amount that I did. I really was a pretty good student. I think the biggest thing for me maybe was I kind of grew up in a rough neighborhood, and that kind of disconnect with maybe a strong father figure maybe led me to find that in circles that maybe I shouldn't have at the time. Never gotten any real trouble, but just looking back at my own kids, looking at my past situation, perhaps I would have surrounded myself with different people than I did when I was younger. I managed to keep my head on my shoulders, not doing any crazy things, but some people I knew and were running around with did some crazy things. So that was probably the most complicated aspect of my journey. But I didn't act up in school or anything else like that. I tried to remain true to myself. My mother was very present and was a good role model for that, so that was a good thing.
Mm. Now, so growing up, what neighborhood did you grow up in?
I was in Central Topeka.
Topeka. Okay, so
Yeah.
the Topeka area. And so, did mom work outside of the home, or was she a
She did
stay-at-home
not.
mom?
No, she's actually a stay-at-home mom after she was pregnant with me. Like I said, she was very present, very there.
Okay, okay. So growing up in a rough neighborhood, um, Kevin, did that have anything to do with how your career turned out with martial arts of self-defense?
That's a good question. You know, I won't ever say there was a real direct causal, significant correlation there. Yeah, there's a few times out there that would have appreciated some of those skills at a younger age, but I always wanted to take martial arts as a kid, but it never happened. As a young adult, I was 19 when I started, just happened to fall into my lap. And so I made up for lost time, but I didn't feel like I needed to do that. It was just something I wanted to do. It wasn't out of need of staying alive or anything per se.
So you
I never
didn't
thought
get,
about that before.
yeah, you didn't get beat up with the rough neighborhood and said, "Man, I'm going to learn how to defend
Exactly,
myself."
exactly right. No causation there. No.
Oh, that's good. So tell us a little bit. Did you go off to college? And if so, where? And what was college life for you?
Yeah. I originally graduated high school and went off to Kansas State University to pursue an architectural engineering degree. Took both physics and calculus in the same semester and decided I didn't want to be an architectural engineer. Transferred back to Topeka. I got a job offer in theater management. I'd worked in theaters as my first job at 16 and got an offer in management at 19 in a theater in Topeka. So just transferred back to Topeka and pursued a degree in business then at Washburn University. And then stayed in that theater management realm, worked all the way up to general manager. I think 11 years, I think total I worked there. So yeah, then graduated my degree in business as well during that time.
Wait, Kansas, were you a Jayhawk then? Was that the Jayhawks
That's
or
the Wildcats, Kansas State. So Kansas
okay,
University was the Jayhawks and Kansas
okay,
State. Yeah, I
okay.
don't want to be mad, so I won't say.
So did you complete 4 years there or just two and then you
I
transferred over?
Yeah, I did 3 semesters at Kansas State University and then transferred over and finished out my degree at Washburn University. And I was a very
So
non-traditional student. I worked full time, so I went to school part time and did martial arts pretty much full time after I got involved with it, coming back to Topeka. So yeah, found that balance there.
did you end up into acting yourself or just management? Did you pursue any the drama in the plays that you were at the theater?
No, this is a more movie theater stuff. So, but it's
Okay.
funny that you say that because I always loved movies and I always, watched movies and I just recently as a kid I wanted to be an actor, but about middle school, the left-sided pragmatic part of me decided not to pursue that route, so never did. But I had on my long-term goal sheet to be in a movie, and it's been there for a long time. I'm 51 now, but I literally just this year was able to participate in a small part in a movie project with a very known martial artist, actually. So it's a martial arts Western, so I got to participate in. I was thrilled. So I finally got to kind of highlight that long-term goals list. Small part, but was still thrilled to be a part of that project. So it's kind of funny how that kind of came around many, many, many years later.
So you're more the stunt man now as a martial artist. You can do
Yeah,
all
it
the
was a
stunt.
nice little fight scene. Yeah, it was a good time. It was a good
Well,
time.
I hear an accent. Is that accent from Topeka? It sounds southern to me.
Yeah, I get that a lot. I don't know. I don't like Southern accents. No offense to anybody. So I always take resentment to that statement, but I hear that all the time. So no, that just must be. I don't think it's a Topeka thing. I don't know what it is. It's just me.
That's so funny you said that because everyone thinks that I'm from the East Coast and I'm not. I'm Chicago. They go, you're East Coast, aren't you? And I'm like, no. That I
Well,
I think I think it was that when I lived in San Diego, Kevin, I had quite a few different roommates over 10 years that were from Jersey, and I think I
okay.
must have picked up their twang. So
Sure, sure. I've got my wife is from the Czech Republic, and so I don't know if there's a correlation or not, but she has a very strong accent. And so that's what I always tell people to say, well, you have an accent. Where are you from? And I would say, well, she's from Texas, so maybe I've just subconsciously created a Southern accent in myself because of that statement. Who knows?
that's so fun. So how did you and the wife meet then?
I met her at a get together I had actually. I had some friends that spent a contract year in Denmark. They lived in Colorado, but they grew up in Topeka and they were back in Topeka after a year being gone. I said, hey, let's get some friends together. Let's see you guys. And a friend of mine brought my now wife to that get together, and I met her there. And that was around December. And then in the following May, we were married. So, and that's been 25 years this year, actually.
Wow, that's amazing. So take me on a little bit of a journey then of your career path of the theater you've already mentioned, being in the theater, and then how did it evolve from the theater? And during that time, you said you earned some money doing some martial arts, or you started taking martial arts. So share a little bit about how your career path has evolved.
Yeah, so I feel very fortunate that I've had kind of an eclectic and interesting career path. Worked in theater management for many years. I liked it, really enjoyed it. Didn't pay the best, but it was a lot of fun. When I graduated from the university with my business degree, I'd already started my martial arts school. I was training and teaching at a martial arts school since '97, and then in 2000, when I graduated with my degree, myself and some business partners decided to start a medical staffing company, and so we employed surgical professionals, techs, nurses, surgical first assists. And the very, very, very condensed version of that is we had that company for 10 years and then sold it. And then I haven't had a job since. So I feel very thankful for that. I've been able to, I still teach martial arts, and I've written some books. I'm very active in education with people. So I get to just kind of focus on what I want to focus on when I want to focus on it. So it's been kind of nice.
So that 10-year career path that you took earns you enough money to be able to be more independent with your career path and pick and choose what you felt like doing then?
Yeah, my one thing I do is financial education, and my wife and I have really been able. She still works part time, and we've been able to make some good decisions and implement some good strategies where we don't get caught in what I call teaching people chasing the 10%, where we're living 10% beyond our means. We've identified the things that are important to us, understood that money is a tool to serve those things, and so we use it relatively frugally and effectively to serve the things that really matter to us. So so in that case, we can maintain that lifestyle that we want. I didn't sell my company for millions or anything like that. That would have been nice, but it was it was a transitional time that we were able to do that and reassess and decide what was important to us and what we wanted to do. So as my kids are getting a little bit older now, my daughter turns 15 this month, and my son is 16. As they are getting a little bit more older and a little bit more independent. My son just got his first car, and I've been able to be a little bit more busy now doing some things that I like to do. So speaking and education is something I'm kind of transitioning back into a little bit more.
So with that, I just had a conversation with my little my second grandchild, Sadie, and she's one of those that she loves to learn and hear new things. So we're talking about her allowance, and I said, she's getting her $10, and she was talking about how she wants to save it, and I said, if you save it, and she's 10, you'll have enough money at 16 to buy your own car. And she goes, oh, my parents will have enough money to buy me a car, but I'm saving for my college education, so I'll have enough for college. So I then said to her, I said, well, let me just ask you, when you get your $10, are you taking the first 10%, which is a dollar, and giving it in the offering at church? She goes, no. And I said, well, it's important to take your first 10% of your earnings and give it back to your local church, and then take the next 10% and put it in savings, and then live off of that 80%, so that you'll know that. So if you have $10, you'll put a dollar to the church, a dollar into savings, and then have eight to be able to live off of. She goes, well, I don't have any bills yet. And I said, I know, but that's a good rule to learn.
Yeah.
So with you growing up in your home, did your family have any spiritual connections going to church, or did your family not go to church on a regular basis?
Yeah, my mother did, and my father didn't. I grew up in a Methodist household, and so I can resonate that. I've got a kind of model I even teach as young as grade schoolers. Talks about it's very easy. You got to spend, save, give. You got three piggy banks, and a percent goes in each one. You got to figure out what that percent is. But yeah, I grew up Methodist. My wife grew up. The country of the Czech Republic is grew up is Catholic. It was communist at the time, but it was still a Catholic residence. But she didn't really grow up with religion, and our kids, we don't go to church. I have several people that I know from churches and all that, but we have pretty significant spiritual presence in our household, but not a church presence, if that makes sense.
Okay. So I just wondered because I met you before and I just didn't know if you did that biblical approach to finances of 10% to God, 10% savings, and then
Yeah,
the 80% for living expenditures.
like I said, very similar. I teach spend, save, give. So yeah, it's just a matter of where you're giving and where you're spending, and you got to figure out that percentage for sure.
Yeah. Well, I'd like the audience to see your bio here, so let me flash to that for just a moment. This is Kevin's bio, and his website is here and his LinkedIn, so you'll be able to reach out to him if you'd like to hire him for speaking engagements to talk about these types of topics. And Kevin and I are going to be going to the BTBY, which stands for Becoming the Better You conference, Come Change Your Life, that's coming to Kansas City in just a few weeks. And I'd like to play that marketing video so everyone knows a little bit about this conference so that you'll consider joining Kevin and I there. So I'm going to play that now for you.
Hi, I'm Kevin Harrington. I'm an original shark from the hit TV show Shark Tank, and I'm here with Brendan. We've got a big event happening this fall in Kansas City, and I'm going to be there, and I know you're going to be there, Brendan. Let's tell the folks all about it so we can get them there too.
Are you letting fear, doubt, insecurities, what other people think stop you? Are you ready to get to the next level of your life? That's what we do. Go on over to comechangeyourlife.com, see what's going on. We have events all over, but we have a powerful event coming up this fall where Kevin is going to be speaking. So if you want to come meet him, you want to come meet me and my team, come on, comechangeyourlife.com.
So as you can see from this, that we're going to be there with Kevin Harrington from Shark Tank. It's going to be an amazing event. And Kevin, we look forward to having you there. And I'm just so grateful that you could jump on and give us a little bit of a background to who you are. Do you know yet what your topic might be at the event, or is that evolving?
It's still is evolving, but what I told them is, the whole concept is a work in progress, and that to me that is synonymous with the word process, which is one of my favorite words. So I told them just title mine work in progress. I have decided I think I will try to center it kind of around finance. I don't have a real long time to speak, so I will do some finance aspects, but it's gonna be, I got to mix it up a little bit too. So there's gonna be a slight entertainment factor in there as well. So it should be a good time.
Well, and we do a dance off on Saturday night, and Kevin always helps the men win. He's got some amazing dance moves. So us women have to step it up a bit, I'll tell you.
I think it's my splits that usually sell it. I think it's the martial arts splits. Maybe I'll leave those off this year. We'll see see what can happen.
Well, thanks again. And I'm going to just show a flyer again so that you guys know where to sign up to come join us in Kansas City. Thanks so much, Kevin, for jumping
Thanks
on
for
with
having me. Yeah, thanks
Uh,
for having me, Jill. Thank you. Looking forward to seeing you.
Take care. So this is where you could sign up, join me. I'm going to be one of the speakers as well in Kansas City. So you can go to comechangeyourlife.com and register today for this event. We hope to see you there. Thanks so much for joining us. Thanks for joining us today on The Connection Show, where we bring you stories that will transform your life. The Connection Show would appreciate your support. Please go to either our Patreon page or our PayPal Me Now link today. We love our podcast show guests and appreciate our listeners and YouTube subscribers. Please go to our YouTube channel called The Connection Show and Braveheart Workshops and subscribe now. Remember to click the gray bell in the All tab so you don't miss any upcoming episodes.